The Hatfields and McCoys, probably the most famous homegrown feud in the U.S. There are tons of stories about what started the fight between the families of Devil Anse Hatfield and Randall McCoy. Are they myths or are they truth?
Let's dig into this.
The story goes like this. The Hatfields lived in Logan County, West Virginia, and fought for the Union in the Civil War. The McCoy clan lived just across the Tug Fork of the Big Sandy River in Pike County, Kentucky, and fought for the Confederacy. Their blood feud began because of the hatred of opposing politics and the murder of Asa Harmon McCoy by a group led by Devil Anse Hatfield.
Almost everything about this story is wrong. The truth is, almost all the Hatfields and McCoys fought on the Confederate side in the Civil War. The exception was Asa Harmon McCoy, who was a Union soldier, which made him a traitor in the eyes of both families.
The story falls apart when you look at the details. It is said that Devil Anse Hatfield and the Logan Wildcats, a group of Confederate soldiers, murdered Asa Harmon McCoy for being a traitor and Union soldier. But the story also claims that the Hatfields were pro-Union, which makes the whole tale confusing. It's easy to dispel the accusation that Asa Harmon McCoy was murdered by Devil Anse Hatfield, who was proven to be sick at his own home at the time, or the Logan Wildcats, since Confederate Army records show the group was nowhere near where Asa Harmon McCoy died.
Martha McCoy, Asa Harmon McCoy's wife, actually found his body in January of 1865 and stated at the time he was in a cave and had frozen to death. Many years later, she and other McCoys claimed that he had been killed by Confederate soldiers. This new version of the story was repeated so many times it has become canon to the Hatfield McCoy story.
The story goes like this. In 1878, Randall McCoy accused Floyd Hatfield of stealing one of his pigs. In a rigged trial full of Hatfields, Floyd was found not guilty and got away with the theft. This small event set off the entire Hatfield-McCoy feud.
Being accused of stealing the McCoy's pig was actually a pretty big deal since a hog could keep a large family fed through the winter in the poor Appalachian Mountains area where the Hatfields and McCoys lived. The argument over who really owned the pig ended up in front of a judge after Floyd was charged with theft. The judge in the case was a Hatfield relative. Some sources say Devil Anse's brother, and most people think that's why Floyd Hatfield won the case.
But the star witness in the case is identified in some records as Selkirk McCoy, who worked for Devil Anse Hatfield, and others as Bill Stanton, a McCoy relative married to a Hatfield. Whoever it really was, their testimony that the pig belonged to Floyd Hatfield cleared him of all the charges in the case. The incident added to the mountain of reasons for the two families to hate each other, but it didn't start the feud.
The story goes like this. Johnsy Hatfield, sometimes pronounced Jonesy Hatfield, and Rosanna McCoy were just like Romeo and Juliet, falling in love despite their families hating each other. Their affair caused the whole Hatfield and McCoy feud.
The truth is, it was no romantic Romeo and Juliet story. Johnsy Hatfield was 18 in 1880, a young, popular son of Devil Anse Hatfield who really liked the ladies. Rosanna McCoy was Randall's beautiful daughter, and at an election day gathering that year, the two hit it off and reportedly disappeared from the gathering for hours. When they finally returned to the gathering, everyone was gone, and Rosanna was so sure her family would be upset when they found out who she had been with, she went home with Johnsy and lived with the Hatfields, which made her family even more upset.
By the time Rosanna McCoy finally returned home, she was pregnant, and Johnsy had no intention of marrying her. In fact, a year later, he would marry her cousin. Rosanna gave birth to a daughter named Sarah Elizabeth McCoy. The baby died before her first birthday, reportedly from measles and pneumonia. It has been said that Rosanna died of a broken heart in 1889, but newspapers report she died from a fever.
While this sad story added to the bad feelings between the two families, It didn't start the feud.
The story goes like this. In August of 1882, a fight at an election day community gathering turned hatred into murder, and the Hatfield McCoy feud exploded.
The Hatfields and McCoys seem to have had an awful lot of problems at political gatherings. At a gathering in August of 1882, three of Randall McCoy's sons got into a fight with two of Devil Anse Hatfield's brothers. This wasn't just any fight, though. Harsh words and fists flying quickly turned into murder. It would lead to the worst incident in and the eventual end of the Hatfield-McCoy feud.
Reports say Devil Anse Hatfield's brother Ellison was unarmed and trying to stop the fight when three McCoy brothers attacked him and stabbed him 26 times before shooting him. Reports say Devil Anse Hatfield's brother Ellison was unarmed and trying to stop a fight when three McCoy brothers attacked him and stabbed him 26 times before shooting him. The McCoys were arrested and on their way to Pike County, Kentucky jail when Devil Anse and his brother Wall Hatfield took them from the sheriff and crossed the river to West Virginia and Hatfield Territory, waiting to see if Ellison would recover. When he died, Devil Anse and his followers tied the McCoys to pawpaw trees and shot them more than 50 times.
About 20 men, including Devil Anse, were indicted for murdering the McCoy brothers, but all of them managed to escape arrest. The McCoys were furious and tried to have a bounty put out for the Hatfields. This resulted in several years of arrests, escapes, and murders on both sides. Then, on New Year's Eve of 1888, members of the Hatfield clan surrounded the McCoy cabin in the middle of the night and opened fire. When the McCoys fired back, the Hatfields set the cabin on fire.
Two McCoy children were killed trying to run from the cabin, and Randall McCoy's wife Sarah was caught and nearly beaten to death by Johnsy and another Hatfield. A few days later, a posse went after the Hatfields, capturing many and killing at least three in various raids. In the Battle of Grapevine Creek on January 19, 1888, the posse faced off with Hatfields in a shootout before the Hatfields finally surrendered.
In August of the same year, 8 Hatfields were indicted for the murder of Randall McCoy's young daughter in the New Year's Massacre. After a Supreme Court battle over whether they could be tried, since they had been taken from West Virginia to Kentucky, was decided in favor of a trial, all 8 men were found guilty. 7 were sentenced to life in prison, and 1 was executed and buried in an unmarked grave. There were more arrests and trials over the next few years, with Johnsy Hatfield the last to go to trial in 1901. He received a life sentence, and the feud seemed to be over.
The Hatfield-McCoy feud was a series of battles that involved hatred, love, jealousy, fights over territory, and revenge that lasted nearly 40 years, and ended, for the most part, with an ugly and deadly attack.
While there was no formal agreement until relatives from both families signed an official truce in 2003, Hatfield and McCoy relatives have turned the original feud into a tourist attraction, and books, movies, and TV shows have ensured it is remembered, myths and all, over 150 years later.
Thanks for watching,
Don't forget to like and subscribe.
and we'll see you on the next one.
Hey, here's another DragonDen video you might like.
And if you like this video, don't forget to hit that thumbs up button.
And you can hit the notification bell if you'd like to know when our videos come out.
Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one.